All right, so our next topic is one that's really, really interesting, and this was one that Matt Vader 74 specifically wanted to talk about with Ethan on the stream, and that is why do boys and girls play differently? And this is based off of a video that Ethan made, and it was a comment that he made on while he was on Timcast. Link in the description. And basically, a while back, there was a study that Lego commissioned to kind of figure out how boys and girls play with their toys. And they found out that boys and girls play very differently. So, Vader, I'm going to throw it to you. What did you want to ask Ethan about
I
this?
I just thought it was a really cool concept that they came up with. And I was just saying that when you brought that up on Timcast, it kind of like, for me personally, just kind of like blew my mind a little bit, because you were absolutely 100% correct on the differences between boys and girls and how they play with things and how it affects what we purchase and what we buy and how we consume our entertainment. So I don't know really how to segue to you other than just thanks for bringing that to light, because it was fascinating how you explained that all and how
I will always be here. You guys can always count on me to tell you why it's wrong to work with, employ, hire SJWs, right, specifically women. I always will. And I will make the videos and I will explain why women are terrible at doing men's jobs every single time. And I will take the slings and arrows. People will say, oh, you must have a small pee-pee. I don't. It's like this. I promise you. But you know, I will
such a
do
big
that.
penis. Oh, the big American penis.
The
big American penis.
Ours is so small.
But here's the truth of the matter is that you know, yeah, Lego did this study which was meant to determine why girls weren't playing with Legos the same way the boys were, and they found out a number of different things which really define the way boys and girls are separate in the way they fantasize. Okay, so the way they're going to, if they're going to be creative people, the way they're going to write and create things, and the way they just play with toys from the age of 18 months and onward. It doesn't really change. It's always the same. And I talk about it a little bit in that video where I say, for example, they give these boys like a castle set. And the boys, you know, they build the castle as per directed, and then they take the figures and they go have little fights with each other, and the castle's in the background, because that's the way boys kind of operate. Well, how come you're not in the castle? The castle's just the backdrop. The action, everything's external conflict. That's what we're interested in. Women are more into, and little girls are more into internal situations. Like they'll take the same castle, they'll build it just fine, and they turn it around and it's hollow. Remember, these Lego castles didn't have anything in them. And they'd say, where's the furniture? What do we do inside the castle? You know, and they take their little figures and they project themselves onto the figures. The knights become themselves, extensions of themselves playing in a dollhouse. So this is kind of the same thing that happens in fantasy. You'll note that the kind of stuff that women really like, that females really enjoy, they like romance novels. They like Twilight. They love Twilight. We couldn't understand it as guys. Why do you like this shit? Well, the reason why is because in every single one of these cases, books that really appeal to women, Hallmark, my wife is watching those Hallmark Christmas movies where the guy is super handsome and the girl's like a clumsy nerd who's sort of ordinary, but he loves her. The reason why is because women want to project themselves into the role of the main character all the time. They want that character to be them. They want representation. They want to feel represented in the story. This is all about me. This is happening to me. So Twilight, the Bella is an ordinary girl. There's nothing special about her at all. And yet all these pretty boy vampires and werewolves are all obsessed with her. That's how females fantasize. That's what they want. Now, when they're trying to do what we do, like we sit there and we write Batman or we read about Batman, we're intensely interested in who Batman is. And then we imagine that we're Batman. We don't imagine that Batman is us. We go, oh, it'd be so cool if I was Batman. If I had that Batmobile, I was fighting the Joker. Like, that'd be the shit. I want to be that guy. That's how boys think, okay? That's how boys fantasize and play, and how they write comics as well. So men tend to write these comic books and they go, what's Batman like? I got to write Batman. I don't write myself. I write Batman.
Mhm.
Okay? And that's the whole thing. Now, the one of the big bits of dissonance that's going on right now in comics and why we're here, why this whole thing exists, is because at some point feminists invaded comics. They invaded Star Wars. You can see that happening right now with Kathleen Kennedy saying, I want everything to sort of look like me. And all the main characters in Star Wars are now women with brunette hair that look like Kathleen Kennedy.
Mhm.
You're seeing this happen because this is how women think. This is how they operate. Now, boys, we're supposed to take Star Wars. We're supposed to watch that. And we imagine that like we're these characters, but these characters are Kathleen Kennedy. It's a big fucking disaster. Like, we don't want to be Kathleen Kennedy. We don't like that.
Right.
When we're reading the comics and we see that Batman has been written from a feminine point of view. Tom King, who's practically a woman, I think he lactates, is writing like Batman and Catwoman as himself and his wife. Like, he's writing his own pitiful relationship into this comic book about Batman, who's nothing like Tom King. And you read that and you just react to it negatively. You have this awful, weird reaction like, this isn't right. This is wrong. So that's what's going on in our culture right now. And there's nothing wrong with women writing. Women are great writers, but women should write pretty much for women. And when women try to write for men, when they write fiction for men, this kind of a thing happens where our characters that are meant to be heroic, power fantasy, whatever it's going to be, start to act like ladies. And we have to reject it, or we know we'll become Tom King. Which is, I think, the cause for a lot of the soy boys and the people who are just accepting this and going, "Oh, you mean I'm supposed to talk like Betty Davis and All About Eve? That's what badass is." That's what how boys are supposed to be like all the time. Like, that's how women write men. They think that like snappy, like super sarcastic, shitty dialogue is tough. Anyway. That's my rant. So that all came from the Lego study. I have a video there you can watch and learn a little bit more about it. And Lego is trying to suppress that study now. It meant a lot to them. It launched them from the third most popular toy brand to #1, like overnight. As soon as they understood the difference between boys and girls, they created something for girls, something for boys, and now Lego is everywhere. Okay, you see Lego, top toy brand. But they still don't want to talk about it. They're trying to blur those gender lines again because that's what's cool in 2023. But anyway,
I just thought it was cool when you brought that all up on Timcast and how many people out there in the media and stuff immediately picked up on it. They're like, "Oh man, Ethan's onto something here. This might actually make sense," But I don't think.
Well, nobody wants to talk about it because it isn't cool to say. We live in a world right now. Evangeline Lilly is talking. Matthew, I'm sorry, Matthew Kadish. This is your show. I'm sorry for like.
No, go ahead.
Do you mind? Okay.
No, go ahead.
Evangeline Lilly right now has a great interview with her where she says, "Look, I don't understand why society right now is punishing men for acting masculine and rewarding women for being masculine, and then punishing women for acting feminine. I just want to have a family and babies, and then rewarding them for acting like men, or rewarding men for acting like pussies and women. Oh, that's the world that we're building right now." And like someone like her is actually coming out and saying, Evangeline Lilly from Lost and the Wasp in the MCU. By the way, if the MCU was all Evangeline Lilly, I don't think I'd complain. Good on you, young Missy. But she's coming out and just saying, like, I don't understand what's going on in society right now. Why are we doing this? Why are we trying to blur these gender lines? Punish men for acting like men, punish women for acting like women, and praise them. The idea of a woman driving a pickup truck and punching some dude in the face is now like the coolest thing in the world. Like, that's what we want to see more of. Women staying home, nurturing their kids. Being, good partners to their husbands, respecting their husbands, unless their husband is Steven Crowder. Like, you want to, you want to like ask them, like, why is this happening in society right now? What is the reason for it? Who's benefiting from this? It's bizarre, but we need to push back on it as much as we can. We need more guys like Matthew Kadish, more guys like Tom Connors, Conspiracy Tom, Matthew Vader, and even Brian, the podcast up there. We need more fellows like him in the world. and more women like Evangeline Lilly and also Irene Strakowski, who's in the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian, as our gender queer representation on the panel, what's your take on boys and girls being different from one another?
I am so happy that they're different. I have 2 twin daughters, and I thought to myself when we were trying to have kids 10 years ago, I'm like, I hope I don't have boys, man. Boys are hard. There's a lot of gross things with boys in their teenage years. And now I'm realizing that girls are like 3 times more expensive, and I got to hire like a full security team at some point just to follow them around. So I'm a little flip-flopping on that, but I'm glad they're different, man. It's okay for men and women to be different. In fact, it's a good thing. They have their men have strengths and weaknesses, and so do women. We complement each other. That's the point. The human race is built on these 2 genders that complement each other. I don't understand why it's not a bad thing. Women don't have to be the same as men, and men don't have to be the same as women. They can be different. They can both be different and both be good. There's no reason to merge those 2 or to attempt to decide which one is better or worse, or to decide that one gender is better at something than others. It doesn't matter. Bottom line is, we are created differently, and that's okay. They have different strengths. They go into, when it comes to work, they usually pick hospitality in some way, right? Men pick more dangerous careers that require probably a little more risk. The whole pay gap thing is a very interesting conversation. There is no actual pay gap, not an actual created pay gap. It's more like it's a big pay gap created by decisions. Men often pick jobs that are risky. They're willing to do extra work. They're willing to go and risk their body and their mind and their health. Women often choose jobs that are more hospitality based, have more time to themselves, give them more freedom. Generally speaking, these job choices, one pays more and one pays less. It's not a manufactured pay gap. It's a sociological pay gap, as in more women choose fields that pay this much because they would rather have good mental health and freedom, and men are like, F my mental health, I'm willing to risk my body and my mind and live 10 years less just to make an extra $14 that year.
Hey guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if you like this episode and it tickles your fancy, or any other episode that we've done in the past, share it on social media and tag us in that post so that we know you're talking about us, and we will immediately jump onto that app and we will respond to your tag, and we can talk about what you like about the episode and possibly talk about something that we might want to cover in the future. And we would love to bring you in our community. We have a wonderful Discord app as well. There's a bunch of people in there that just love chatting with us. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, tag us in that post and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much. Back to the podcast.
So, Conspiracy Tom, I want to throw this to you. Why do you think we're in a situation nowadays where men are being rewarded for being women and women are being rewarded for being masculine?
Oh God, please don't make me talk about this.
60 seconds, Tom. 60
I'm going to say a
seconds.
bunch of crazy shit.
Here we go. Get the clip ready. Are we recording this? Go.
Okay. Well, I'll just start by saying, look, Jordan Peterson said, which I actually quite like Jordan Peterson, like 80%. But men like things, women like people, right? So women like relationships and things like that. They're more empathetic than we are. We're more external force driven. We like things. We like doing things. We like applying ourselves to things, and women like to fix things and be engaged. So I mean, it's just very different. But I mean, my whole take on the whole thing is, look, we're moving men from we don't need crazy barbarians anymore, right? That are going from village to village, chopping off heads so that we can expand our territory. So it could be any number of things, and I don't want to get too weird with it. But I mean, look, we're in a society that rewards weakness, that rewards pacifism, that rewards empathy, that rewards, and we keep increasing these things because we are a modern, polite society. Do they need a guy with wielding a hammer smashing in heads anymore. No, they don't. We don't really need it. The world is changing. We're moving on. Why is it changing? There's a million nightmarish reasons we can get into this. I blame a lot of things that I don't want to talk about on here because it just gets weird and goes down weird rabbit holes. But I think Ethan really did nail it. Is that when you have a lot of empathy, then you inject yourself into things, right? I don't have that problem. I don't see somebody suffering and go, oh boy, that is me. I don't have that same reaction. So, the world's a crazy place. It keeps getting weirder. The more mechanized and modernized. I mean, just think about this. If the internet went down, right? If the internet went away, we would all become rabid cannibal barbarians in 2 weeks. And that's just like the internet, much less power going away. So comfort breeds weakness, right? What is that saying? Is that hard times create hard men create easy times, good times create soft men create hard times. Yeah,
that's where we are. Yeah.
And it's exactly where we are.
But I want to correct something. I want to argue with one thing that you said. You said that like women, this is about women having empathy, and I disagree. I think it's women being naturally sort of narcissistic. They see the men are more empathetic because in this way, it's like we seek to understand people who aren't us. Women don't. Women want everything. They're like, I need to relate to this. Can you steer this? Can you make it more to be like me so that it's easier for me to understand? You show a woman Tom Connors and Tom starts acting up all day. And a woman's going to go, I don't understand Tom Connors. Can you make him more like me so that I can relate to him and love him? And Tom's going to be like, no, bitch. And that's going to be
that every day, actually. But
I mean, see, that's the difference between men and women. Women want men to behave, or at least they profess to. They say that they want men.
Oh yeah. Oh God, that's yes.
So that they can relate to, understand them, eventually dominate them. But yeah, men like I sit there and I'll try to understand people who I'm talking to. I seek empathy. I'm talking to somebody who isn't like me. I'm trying to figure out where you're coming from. And empathize with you so that I don't have to hate you for being different from me. And that's, and I think that's the difference. So it's not empathy. Women, like it's more like narcissism.
You are 100%. Yeah.
But not in a mean way. I'm not saying women are all narcissists. I'm saying it's in their nature to be like that.
So I actually finish your thought, Tom, and then.
So the nature of this conversation is inflammatory. And you are completely correct. I just, yes, it is the narcissism that is the problem. You're completely right.
So I want to throw this to Tom Connors. So Ethan's point and the study that this Lego company did basically says that men like to embody characters, whereas women like to make the characters like them, so it becomes self-inserts. And we just talked about Whoopi Goldberg basically creating a self-insert for her own comic book. But do you think that with the rise of like more women at the head of like Hollywood studios, like Kathleen Kennedy and
Amy Pascal and whatnot,
Amy Pascal, stuff like that, do you think that because we're seeing more women kind of like head up studios, that we're getting like worse and worse like entertainment offerings because that's how they're kind of structuring like the projects that they produce?
Well, I think Ethan and Tom really kind of made a lot of great points. I don't agree with all of them as a thing, but I do agree with most of them, and I think that they're right for the most part. I'm not saying that a woman can't be creative in a way that a guy can be, but I think that we do create things differently. Like I think I would love to see more on the study with Legos, because I think if you go even deeper, I bet you if you threw like a bunch of Legos in a group of kids and you had a group of girls and a group of boys, I would imagine the boys would probably work together to build something, and then they would interact with it in the way the boys do, as to where girls would probably separate things and do things more individually because, like Ethan was saying, they tend to try to do things to make it to where it's about them, not in a selfish way, but where they can relate to it or whatever. But like
back up, you're saying that girls would tend to work as individuals or boys would? I didn't hear that. Girls would be individuals.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
you know,
think the guys would work together and come up with a plan.
Can I jump in on that one real quick?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so I was doing like a management training thing at my old company, and I was leading this exercise. And the exercise that I was doing was I bought a Lego set. So on the Legos topic, it's a Lego set. It was a small one, maybe like 150 pieces, so nothing too crazy. And I had 6 leaders. It was like supervisors, managers, and like leads in a group. And basically, I put the Legos on the table, and what I said to them was, I didn't give them the instructions, and I said, build the Lego set. And initially, the one of the women in the group started taking all the pieces and grouping them by like pieces. She wasn't talking to anybody, but she started putting like the gray pieces together and the red pieces together. And then one of the guys, he ex-military, he starts yelling at everybody and starts telling them all what to do and trying to structure this through force alone. And then the couple of the weaker guys just kind of just did one of these and just kind of melted back and waited to be yelled at, right? And so Tom, you're onto something there. Yeah, it's exactly what happened in that exercise. Truth be told, they did not build that Lego set.
It sounds like you had somebody who's a bit too aggressive, but in most situations, especially if you got camaraderie with men, like if men will look at a problem, and I think Ethan kind of hit on this, men will look at a problem and they will try to solve it together, right? They're like, what is it we have that we can do here with it? Women will sit around and talk about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah. Can I ask you guys, have you ever been in a situation with a girl where she's telling you a problem and you're like, okay, here's what we need to do to solve it, and she's like, shut up, you're not listening to me, I just want you to listen.
I want you to listen.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
God.
Men want to solve a problem, right? They want to find
All
the
the
answer.
time, yeah.
Look how
And women
outraged.
want to analyze it. Yes.
The whole panel just rabble.
Just this last weekend, Matt can tell you, I had a bit of a issue because I was in the doghouse and I didn't even do anything. You know what I mean? It's just like, will you just listen to me? It's like, what do you want to talk about? I want to talk. What do you want to talk about? Well, I want to talk about what we talked about last weekend. It's like, what did we talk about last weekend? You know, it's a never ending cycle. And it's just like, and you just sit there.
That is a test, Matt. That means you were not listening to her.
No, I wasn't. Because, at some point after, decades, it goes in this year and out this one. And you're just going to go,
It is interesting how, like, when women are talking to men about a problem, the women aren't talking about how to solve the problem. They're just talking about the feelings that the problem's making them experience.
Exactly.
Whereas the first thing that men do is like, okay, how do we solve this problem?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I was getting at. Yeah.
Everything in life for men is just a series of problems to be solved. Like that's the whole thing. Like of course I'm married, and she'll be like, we have this situation. I don't know what to do. And I'll just be like, it's a problem. We'll just sit down and we'll figure out, we'll find a solution to this problem. That's all it is. And it's like this relief of being married to a man who is just like, because women for the most part really don't think like that. And I don't, again, I love women. I love the differences.
Me too. It's not like, but it's just a matter of how we function, right? Exactly.
Right. Yeah. This is a problem. We're going to solve it. That's all it is, period.
Check out
that's my kind of a grasp of the whole.
Yeah,
exactly. That's my kind of grasp of the situation. Is like we do function differently, but in that we do also work together well when it comes to certain things, right?
Oh yeah.
Like another point you could be is like, if you took those Legos, I bet like the girls would probably like create little Lego versions of themselves to where the guys would also probably work together to create something. Right, like that's the other thing. It's like Ethan and Tom are, as far as I'm concerned, hitting the nail on the head about how, women look at things internally, men look at things externally. It's just how we function. It's the way nature made us for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And again, there's always exceptions to the rules, but in the basis of just normal everyday life, like I wouldn't be surprised if you did this experiment farther, or if I read the results of this experiment, that's where it would probably end up.
All right, guys, real quick, I want to hit out some super chats before we change topics. Travis Patrick for $2. Ethan, how the hell's it going? Hi, comicsgate.
Hi, thank you, Travis.
Yeah,
it's good.
And then from Doomed for $2. EVS, you have to watch Picard season 3.
No, I'm not going to. That was a trap. That whole thing was a trap. Picard, of course, ended woke. It
Ah!
started out like, yeah, everybody's like, oh, this is good. This is good. And I understand it was well written, but did it not end with retiring every single old male character and replacing them with women, one of whom was a lesbian and, subjugating all of the male characters to subservience to the new women leaders at the end of I'm pretty sure that's how Picard ended.
Ethan, let me tell
But
you what. Last time I
Pretty
was
close.
on here, these guys right here are telling me how
Mhm.
great it is, and they're like,
Yes.
"Oh, Thomas, you're wrong. You've got to get behind Picard. It is the
good.
future
It's
of
a really good
Star."
Well, I
Bah.
mean, again, like the show was called Picard. It would have been really good if Picard's son took over in his place. This is all being
Yeah.
written by someone like he's so gifted, he's so special because of who his father was. He can clearly, take command, and when his father steps down or retires or dies or however this is going to end. And instead, no, 7 of 9 and her female companion take over. The guy
Yeah.
who the white male, what's his name, who was
Jack.
yeah,
Picard.
Jack. They killed him. I'm sorry,
Oh
spoilers.
no.
But I mean, it's
Captain
know.
Shaw.
yeah, Kevin Shaw. They killed him, and they didn't have to do that. This was all kind of like, see, here's what Picard season 3 was saying. It was saying to you guys, you think we're incompetent. We're not incompetent. We can tell a good story, and we'll show you that. And then we're going to smack you upside the head with more woke at the end of it. So eat that. And that's what Picard was.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Just to
thoroughly
defend
disagree.
myself a little bit, Brian, we don't have the time for that shit. Okay. For you to disagree.
I'm not.
Just to defend myself though a little bit, conspiracy Tom. The last thing I said about Star Trek was the way it ended was with Seven and her lesbian lover, and they might as well have had Jack attached to Seven with a gimp mask and a leash attached to him, sitting on his little chair next to her over there.
Oh,
So
boy.
I do agree with exactly what Ethan said. I enjoyed the series, but they could have ended it a little bit different. So
I
yeah.
mean, we all saw the Kevin Smith He-Man, didn't we?
Oh, it's awful.
They're doing that on
Yeah.
purpose now. You understand? They're
Yeah.
deliberately, these people are doing this to intentionally F with you. Don't let
Oh
them.
yeah.
Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.